Have you ever gone on a trip that was absolutely amazing, but somehow when you came home, you felt like you needed a vacation to recover from that vacation? You were exhausted, you were overwhelmed, you were overstimulated, and you needed rest. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Mona, and I help highly stressed people find their inner peace. Spring, I learned a very important lesson about exhaustion, emotional intelligence, and why beautiful experiences need room to breathe. Now, normally, I'm pretty good at balancing my time, energy, and my responsibilities. That's very important to me because I know these things directly affect my personality and my behavior. And I like to be the version of myself who's in control, who's thoughtful, and who doesn't snap because my blood sugar is low and my nervous system is having a meltdown. But last spring, I found myself in a situation where someone else was in the driver's seat. I went on a getaway with some friends, and I wasn't in charge of anything. Not the food, not the schedule, not the accommodations, not even the timing of anything. And let me be clear, it was a fantastic experience. Not that part, but the food was great, the excursions were amazing, and the people were so wonderful. But the schedule was so aggressive. Every minute was packed with activities. I slowly started realizing that my nervous system was waving a little white surrender flag. Now here's what I know about myself. I know when I am overly tired or too hungry or too hot or too cold, etc., that my emotional bandwidth shrinks dramatically and then I become short-tempered. And honestly, I think a lot of us underestimate how biological emotional regulation really is. Sometimes people think emotional intelligence means becoming some perfectly calm Zen robot who never gets irritated. That's not true. A huge part of emotional intelligence is simply knowing your personal limits before your nervous system breaks down. And neuroscience actually shows us that when we're physically depleted, the brain has a harder time using the prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain, the one that's responsible for patience, decision-making, and emotional regulation, which explains why exhausted people suddenly become irrationally angry at things like slow walkers or wet socks or someone innocently asking, "Where do you want to eat?" And because I know myself so well, I realized during this trip that I had to actively practice grace under pressure because I wasn't the one in charge of the trip. Sometimes the hardest part of not being in control is accepting that you don't get to shape the pace of your own experience. But here's what's interesting. Even though I didn't have the space to fully unwind and savor the experiences in the moment, good still came from it. I have beautiful memories, I have pictures, I have fun stories. And now, when I look back at those moments, I can reflect with gratitude instead of exhaustion. And honestly, the trip taught me something incredibly valuable. Not every moment of every day needs to be packed to the hilt with activity. There needs to be some room to breathe, room to reflect, room to savor the experience. Positive psychology actually talks about this concept called savoring. And savoring is the ability to intentionally slow down and absorb positive experiences while they're actually happening. And the truth is, when we rush from one thing to the next nonstop, our brain often doesn't fully process the joy in real time. We consume experiences without emotionally digesting them. And I think in modern life, we are trained to confuse fullness with fulfillment. But they're not the same thing. They're totally different. And a packed schedule is not automatically a meaningful life. So, the moral of this story is, sometimes the most emotionally intelligent thing we can do is to leave space. Leave space in our calendar, leave space for our nervous system, space for our relationships, and space to simply exist without performing every second of the day. Because beautiful memories deserve more than documentation. They deserve to be absorbed and felt. And now, when I create meaningful experiences in my own life, I try very intentionally to not overpack every single moment. I want time to sit and be with it. I want to feel it. I want to appreciate it, because memories aren't only built through movement. Sometimes they're built in the quiet pause afterward, when your nervous system finally has time to say, that was beautiful. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to book a call with me, look for the link in the description box below. Until next time, I wish you peace, love, and happiness.